Hey Helldivers, in this video we're diving into the questions and answers the developers addressed during their latest anniversary stream. We'll explore topics like cryo ammo and weapons, Joel and his team, concept art, 5-player squads, lower gravity, and much more. If you find this video helpful or informative, at any point, consider clicking the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay updated with all the latest news. We've got a ton of questions to cover, and I'll try to keep this video as short as possible. First up, and definitely worth mentioning, is cryo weapons. A Helldiver asked the team if they're ever considering adding cryo. In response, Fluffy, one of the developers, basically said it's definitely possible, but it might not happen until later. We could see it a year from now, maybe 2, who knows? Still, they did answer the question, and it seems like cryo weapons are something we'll see in the future. It's just a matter of time. The proof can be seen here, and this is what Fluffy had to say specifically.
I could see it happening, but probably not for quite a while. Quite far out there, tech-wise.
It's a cool idea, though. It's one that we get a lot, and it is really cool.
Yeah, I can whenever hit.
So, if you could choose a specific weapon to receive cryo, what would it be? An assault rifle, a submachine gun, maybe a rocket launcher stratagem? I'd love to hear what you Helldivers would like to see. Let's talk about it. Next up, there was a question about Joel. Does he work alone or with a team? The developers answered that Joel doesn't work alone, he leads a team. They jokingly added that if he didn't have help, he wouldn't get any sleep or even have time to eat. That right there is proof that Joel doesn't work alone, and he indeed has a team behind him.
Mountain Nerd asked, is there really just one Joel or is it a team? We've actually, we've mentioned this a few times. Joel leads a few people on a team to help him. Otherwise, he would never be able to sleep or eat.
Although he doesn't sleep much now.
Alright, the next question is whether they've ever considered having a 5-player squad. Fluffy, one of the developers, confirmed that early on they did try to implement a 5-player squad as a feature. They tested it out but figured out it wouldn't work. Essentially, they found that the 5th member would just sit there and idle because the other 4 players handled everything, making the extra member sort of pointless.
This is Helldivers 2 was originally designed for 5 people actually. That was Johan's call because he had these thoughts around you're 4 people playing. If a 5th joins you, suddenly you're a 3-stack and a 2-stack, and it creates this unbalance. But if you're 5 people and someone joins, then you're 2 3-stacks, and you're 3 groups instead of one becoming a pair. So we actually wanted Helldivers 2 to be 5 people originally, but unfortunately, as we played with it, it didn't work. It turned out that when you're 5 people, someone is always just standing around, not really participating in the action. It also gave you a whole lot of flexibility in your team stratagem loadout, so it just turned the game into like you really didn't have to make any choices when it came to stratagems. The biggest thing was that someone was always just standing around idling instead of participating in the game, which prompted us to remove it sort of halfway through development, or a few years later.
I'm not entirely sure what difficulties they were testing it on or the exact circumstances at the time, but I think if they were to revisit the idea, they might see how useful a 5th party member could be. Personally, I believe it would be a great idea. I believe a 5-player squad could shine on higher difficulty missions. It might just work out well. That said, for lower difficulties like levels 1 through 7, it'd probably be overkill. With so many players, you'd complete missions and side objectives fast, breezing through the game and everything way too quickly. Hopefully they'll think about adding a 5-player squad again at some point. Moving on, there was a question about artwork on the Super Destroyer and whether they're willing to add anything. The Arrowhead team thinks it's a great idea. They mentioned the possibility of including the kids painting from the old Major Order way back. You know, the one where we had to choose between saving the kids or earning the anti-tank mines. We ended up saving the kids, and the Helldivers 2 social media team posted about it, and you can see the image here. Anyway, they brought up that image and also said they loved to feature artwork shared by the community. I'm guessing That could be from Reddit, Discord, or even X. So with that being said, here's what the Arrowhead team had to say.
Art would go on the Super Destroyer, you think?
Surely the kids painting, right?
Yeah, the
that's
kids
Yeah,
painting.
they want that.
We should do some type of like contests like every month or something. Like it gets a community thing up there.
That would be so cool.
Yeah.
That'd be a lot of fun.
All of your fan art is just so incredible. Like, what was the
I think this is an absolutely brilliant idea. It'd be wild to see a bunch of artwork in game. What I like to see, personally, that's not artwork related, is a lab on the Super Destroyer with a Terminated or Illuminate in some sort of massive glass test pod, complete with lore explanations and all the stuff about enemies. I think that'd be insane. Speaking of which, we definitely need more lore in the game. The next question is something I'm sure most Helldivers have requested before: planets with lower gravity. Fluffy, a member of the Arrowhead team, explained that they've experimented with it. During a week dedicated to testing different concept ideas, a developer created a moon biome with lower gravity. Fluffy noted that about 85% of their systems, like projectile simulations and physics simulations, could handle it. However, he pointed out that it require a ton of work with animations and would be tricky to explain to players.
Yes, we did try this. There was a hack week where we tried different concepts out internally at the studio, and one of them made a moon biome with lower gravity. It's like 85% of our systems already support this. Like the projectile simulation can handle it, the physics simulation can handle it, but it would require a lot of work for animation and other similar stuff. And also, like, how do you explain it to players? All these new weird behaviors. What do you do to jump packs? Now suddenly you're becoming stratospheric maybe when you when you sort of start jumping around.
Can launch yourself back up to your Super Destroyer.
Yeah, I mean, it's not impossible if you have low grav. Yes, it would be very cool. It is technically possible. It's just maybe not feasible. So I won't say it will never happen, but it's as far as I know, it's not anything we have any plans for.
Maybe not practical right now. Still, he doesn't want to rule it out completely since anything could happen. On a side note, if you're wondering about Killzone items returning to the Superstore, they don't have an ETA or specific date for bringing them back right now. Moving along, what about the down mechanic from Helldivers 1? Why didn't the developers include it in Helldivers 2? Was there any specific reasons not to? So here's what exactly Fluffy had to say about that specific question.
Yeah, actually a lot of reasons. We originally worked with the down mechanic being in the game for a long time, but again we just couldn't get it to feel right. In a third-person shooter, you were taking a lot less damage, simply put, from friendly fire. Like, you're not confined to the same screen. There's different heights. It's a lot harder to just whip your gun over someone in Helldivers 2. And that, in combination with the fact that downed almost always saved you, meant that you weren't sort of afraid of enemies, really, or friendly fire. Unless it was a one-shotting attack, which is fine, but you can't have only one-shotting attacks in the game. Or I guess you can. But
Fluffy explained that they did try it out in Helldivers 2, but gave several reasons for dropping it. Simply put, they couldn't get it to feel quite right. Unlike Helldivers 1, where you're confined to the same screen, Helldivers 2 has varied heights and terrains, and the down mechanic ended up feeling like it would always save you. So essentially, they wanted Helldivers 2 to be more challenging, which I really like. That said, I still love the idea of a down mechanic. Maybe they could add it as a booster, like a medic booster that gives the whole squad the ability to go down and heal teammates. I'm not sure if that'd work, but definitely an idea. This way, it wouldn't be a default feature. Only squads with the booster equipped in their loadout would get it. What do you Helldivers think about being downed and healing fallen teammates? Do you want it or not? Let's now take a look at the urban environment and what it looked like during development. It's actually really interesting, guys. They've got building designs, they've got the concept ideas, and we actually get to see what it looked like before the urban environment was an urban environment. There was a lot here that they unpacked. They talked about how there was some code that they had to implement into the enemies so that they would navigate throughout the map without getting stuck on fire hydrants or some of the objects in game, which was really interesting to hear. They talked about how there were certain issues where the enemies would walk on the sidewalks instead of the road for some reason, but that's where the code comes in and they implemented all that great stuff. They went into detail, talked a lot about this. I'll leave a link down below so you can check out this part specifically, but I think this right here is well worth watching, especially if you're, into video games, which I'm assuming a lot of you are if you're watching this video, right? Or maybe, hell, maybe you're into development and you are developing your own game. Maybe this will intrigue you in some way. Now, what you will notice in this clip, that some of the buildings are larger than what we have right now currently in game. These are different. There are some that are about, 20 feet high or a lot larger than, again, what we have in game. So I thought that was really cool. Maybe they'll implement some of those buildings later on, perhaps for Super Earth or some other biome. Who knows? Maybe they'll update it later on. But I thought that was really cool. A lot of this stuff was just awesome to take a look at. Also, what I thought was awesome was when they showcased what the warships look like during development, and it looks absolutely nuts. I'd love to hear your thoughts about this. Now, this right here was called a teacup. At least the developers thought that's what it looked like during development. And obviously, throughout the development, they made several different changes, and it looks way better now than what it was looking like during development because, of course, it's development. They're trying to figure out what to do and how to make it look really cool and all that good stuff. Not only that, but they also talked about how the harvesters apparently had a hard time trying to keep up because their legs, I guess, would move so fast it would look like they're swimming in midair or something like that. And you can obviously tell in this image, that's what it looked like. Okay, on a different note, we were successful in the latest major order. We won it, surprisingly enough. Maybe some of you thought we were going to fail. Nonetheless, if you're nowhere near your computer or console, then allow me to go over the latest message briefing. Here's what it says. The automatons have been repelled from Clarel. The Deep Mantle Forge complex remains within our domain, secure from being bent to despotic means. Intercepted messages acquired during the enemy's disorganized retreat have shed some light on their intentions. The enemy endeavors to replace the fallen Jet Brigade with something even more unthinking and vicious. Denying the enemy the high temperature forge will not have stopped them completely, but our intel agents can now pursue more information about this potential threat. The Illuminate have rapidly accelerated the Meridian wormhole towards Moradesh. The scientists working at the research facility there have been evacuated. Their dark fluid experiments have been prematurely abandoned. What technological benefits they could have provided will be destroyed, along with the planet itself. Wow, so it looks like I was right after all. Yesterday I talked about how, potentially the automatons are going to come up with something sinister, and what do you know? They're definitely up to something. Not only that, I was also correct about how the Meridian wormhole was moving, and it definitely did, so that's interesting as well. But last but not least, we have the top 3 comments. The first top comment comes from Frulfluberg 4005. I still want a stealth backpack that gives you around 10 seconds of stalker invisibility. Would have been a nice reward for doing the MO against the Predator strain. Yes, I absolutely agree with you, and that is something I hope they implement at some point. I mean, we've got a shield backpack, so why not provide a invincibility one, right? Something that gives you some cover. Maybe it'll be a part of the stealth warbond in the future if they do have that in mind. The second top comment comes from Bandit02834. Goose Divers unite. Yes, all my fellow Goose Divers on the Discord, I appreciate you. So keep up the good goose diving and whatnot. Whatever, you get the point. Last but not least, we have the Ensure the Panda. You wrote, if there is less than 2 Illuminate attacks, the wormhole doesn't actually move. It also doesn't move from completing Indian invasions. That right there is interesting. I didn't know that. I thought it was mainly from the invasions. However, someone else figured out. I like how someone said they're the local ghost diver. That's really cool. But yeah, I didn't know this. Maybe some of you did, but there you go. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. If you want to, join the Discord down below. The description's right there with the links and all that and the sources. I appreciate everyone stopping by. My voice is really raspy right now. I think I've been talking way too much. But I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you did, consider subscribing, turn on those beautiful notifications, and giving this video a thumbs up. See you guys in the next one.